Hello, welcome to Encounters. My name is Jan Servaas, and today we have two people whom I can't call guests because they work here, staff members of ACTV. And even more important, we are also having a public today, students from the University of Massachusetts who are taking a class in Communication for Sustainable Social Change. Welcome to you as well. May I invite the two members at this table, Cray and Chelsea, to briefly introduce themselves and explain to us what your role and what you're doing here. Chelsea first.
Well, my name's Chelsea McCracken. I'm the Government Access Coordinator at Amherst Community Television. And what that entails is making sure that all of the government meetings in Amherst get filmed and get put up on our channel so that the wider public can see them if they can't make it to all the meetings. In addition to that part of my job, I also do a lot of production work. So I'm in charge of a lot of studio shoots, a lot of directing. Not so much used to being on this side of the camera, but it's experience. And I also coordinate interns. So we have a lot of interns who come in and help out.
Right, we'll get to that later,
Yeah.
because I'm sure that some of the students are interested in becoming an intern and a volunteer. But let me also ask Craig to say a few words about what he is doing here.
I'm Craig Sinclair. I'm the Community Media Coordinator at ACTV, which means many things. Principally at the moment I'm making a new website for us, which is kind of the underpinning behind a lot of changes at the station. And so any other technological matters or anything around the building that is technological kind of falls into that, as well as kind of working with people in the community that are making new projects and have intriguing ideas that we can combine and work with.
Right, not only intriguing ideas at the level of personal interaction,
Right.
but also what you're doing with technology seemed to be intriguing. Could you elaborate a bit more?
So ACTV is part of the Open Media Project, which is an initiative with based in Denver, Colorado, to kind of make Public Media 2.0 is what they've called it. It's a Drupal website basically, which allows for you to run a station through a website and their understanding, but from the way I think of it is to kind of expand what Access currently does at the moment. So it's a process to take away just the television cameras we have here and broadcasting on cable and enable an access center to really offer full access to anyone. They don't have to be in the community that you are broadcasting to on cable. They can be anywhere in the world, because increasingly the people that live somewhere work somewhere else. They have other connections. And so this website is going to allow our members to interact online the way they used to on other sites, but also in this case reserve equipment, facilities. They could volunteer for projects, put up notes about this, and post their shows on there without the restrictions you have on other online video sites. So you can have as many minutes or hours as you want to. We're going to be putting 5-hour-long town meetings up there, and without the same issues with free speech, which one might come into in other places. So it's a way to kind of re-envision community media, and also then fully share it with the community, because at the moment with just being seen as television, it kind of closes it off and doesn't really do justice to everything that has happened historically in community media.
So what I understand is that you're trying to connect with other community media stations, and will that also mean that we can start watching their products and broadcasts?
Yeah, I mean the idea behind this, I think, first of all, is that there will be for a sort of file sharing where people could find that which interested them elsewhere in community media. And then with this setup, it means that each station will be able to have this sort of instantly on their own website as well, but also then available so they can play it on television. So there are many people across the US that are doing the same sorts of things within their community media stations who have been completely disconnected from each other and now would have an opportunity to if not pool their resources in the sense of sort of working together financially, because that's not really it, then at least pool this kind of reservoir of knowledge they have together for a greater good.
Right. And that, I guess, will also mean that we can interact with all these different stations and pick what we like to watch. I noticed that on our website we already advertise video on demand. That will only increase, I guess.
Sure. The idea is that everything that is produced locally within the station we're going to put up online. We actually will be having our members doing this, so they become more technologically savvy as well as part of it. And rather than it being, as it is at the moment, just links on the web page, we'll have embedded streaming video so that people can, I mean, in many ways, YouTube, by its sheer ubiquity, has set a kind of standard for everyone else to follow just in what you can have up on screen. But the problem with YouTube is that there is just the infinity of choice. It's narrowed down by various means, people voting on it, people selecting it in YouTube themselves, but otherwise what rises up to the top is basically what's being watched most. It doesn't necessarily represent anything about a particular topic or certainly a particular community. We're going to be able to sort of show what's interesting here, but also what's most of interest around other sites as well.
Right, but YouTube claims to be free for everybody and no censorship whatsoever.
Right.
What about the future of this station? Will you be the gatekeeper in some sort?
Our mission statement and artwork we have hanging on our walls attest this rather firmly, is that we're a free speech powerhouse. So we actually, as an access centre, are able to broadcast on cable things that commercial channels are not allowed to. We do so after a watershed in the evening, but we welcome anybody to express any perspective they have. And then anyone who disagrees with this, for instance, has their own opportunity to then create a counter statement by coming in and making a show themselves. So the only regard in which we restrict in any way is that we're not allowed to broadcast copyrighted materials.
Right.
So we're using Creative Commons, which is a relatively new but already very successful concept where you can micro-choose the level of copyright you want to have, which enables you to share it with other people. So this means there's already this great resource of other video, of other music, of other images and photos that you can use in your own work and then in kind share this. And it's part of the culture of sort of remixing what is already around us and redistributing it with your own particular experience and knowledge that is the basis of modern community television.
Okay, I may need to turn to Chelsea now because she is involved in most of the production of what's locally done. Could you give us an overview of what the main themes are and maybe also identify what is still lacking here in our programming and production?
So what sort of productions?
Right.
Well, we at the moment have a lot of shows actually shooting out of the studio. It's increasing. We have, I think, 3 shows that shoot fairly regularly out of the studio. Well, 4. We have a couple talk shows like this one. We have a student group that comes in and does student news out of here. They've also just started doing a comedy sketch show out of the studio. In addition to that, we cover a lot of events around Amherst. We covered a lot of events for the Amherst 250th, including the parade, which was a big production.
And most of that is still uploaded and visible for all of us.
Yep. And in addition to all of those pieces, we have the government meetings again.
Right. And the school committee meetings. Right. So, but that's an overview of what would you like to add or what would you like to solicit for our audience and for future volunteers to produce extra or?
Well, I think we're always looking for people to bring in their unique ideas and their unique shows, and we encourage that, and we're here to help people make that a reality. So if someone comes in with an idea, for example, I also teach the production classes here, so I teach a camera training class every month and an editing class. And I had couple people come in who wanted to put together a show about a cooking show showing kids cooking. And, you know, we helped them learn how to use cameras, helped them learn how to edit, and, you know, helping them take that to production. We also have another group of people who want to do a series of stories, collecting stories from people in the area and putting them into half-hour shows. So we're always just looking for more people to bring in ideas and bring in their enthusiasm and creativity and help us, you know, give them what they need to make it a reality.
Right. Now, I know that you need to become a member, although the membership fee is very reasonable, in order to be allowed to use the facility, so to speak. And I'm sure that not everybody needs to produce his or her own program. So what other kind of jobs are available for potential volunteers?
Well, if people are interested in learning more about production, they can always apply to our internship program. We currently have about 20 interns. Most of them are college, some of them are graduated, some of them are still in high school. So we have a whole range of ages and abilities, and we help our interns train on cameras, train in editing. They get all that training for free, and they get a lot of experience, a lot of hands-on stuff that you wouldn't get in a bigger, you know, in one of the larger network stations. You get to do whatever you want here. You know, if there's something that you're passionate about learning how to do, you can do it, and we'll find a way to help you learn that and achieve your goals.
That's how you started here as well, I was told.
That is, yes. I graduated from Mount Holyoke last spring, and I started interning here over the summer, and then at the end of summer, a job opened up, and it was a perfect fit.
Yeah, and you seem to be doing a great job here. But of course, as some of us will have noticed, there are a couple of varieties in the programming, but there is still a lot missing, I would say. Could you identify some of what you have in mind as adding or trying to add to the programming?
Specifically?
Yes, in general, I've heard people talking about the lack of more cultural variety, representation of minorities, people with different languages.
We have been trying to encourage that programming. Actually, the last 2 weeks we've had a new Spanish language program shooting a pilot in here, and so that's been pretty exciting that we're going to be starting to put stuff up on the channel that's in Spanish as well as English. And I know we've been talking with a lot of community groups and hoping to get them excited about creating their own programming.
I mean, one of the things with regard to that is that we are not the ones that set the agenda. We can have interests or excitement and encourage, but it's for people to come in themselves, and hopefully once they're here they'll be inspired by what other members are doing. But people could come in and help out on someone else's project. A lot of people feel they have to have sort of the vision first, when in fact you need to have the extra crew around the person that has the vision to actually make that into practice. So what we really are most interested in doing is representing Amherst and who Amherst is in its entirety by those aspects of community that are not currently visible on our channels. And to that end, we are, for instance, starting a citizen journalism initiative for other ways to reach out to community, and as part of the other aspects of what community media involves.
Citizen journalism?
So the internet really has changed the sort of structure of reporting in many ways because of allowing people to comment on and interact with news stories in so many ways. But what it also means is that then anybody that wishes to can report too as well. And you could do this by text, by photos, by audio, by video. And those are all the sort of things that seems make a lot of sense in an organisation like this. And when you consider that while there is an NPR affiliate in town, a weekly subsidiary of a regional paper, otherwise it's just the UMass media that don't really cover anywhere off campus per se. So we are really the only Amherst-based media organisation, And so there is certainly an absence of news reporting of local issues, and it seems that we would be an obvious place to fill that role. But in order to do that, it requires training members. So we're currently working out how best to do this and inviting people who are interested to get in touch with us so that we can start this initiative very soon.
Sounds great, but that also implies that you think that there is something lacking here that which needs to be filled.
These are the things that we get passed on by other people. So when you said about what members can do, we have various sort of strata of members for their degree of involvement, and some of them really are kind of just suggesting what they would like to see or what traditionally they feel is lacking in the Amherst area, and the single place to go to find out information about Amherst doesn't really exist, and it probably shouldn't, but having a variety of options and alternatives would be good, and I think that ACTV should certainly be one of them, and also a more visible and viable one than it has been in the past.
Yeah, I know that the door is always open, although the building is not really in the center of town, and therefore for some people a bit of a search to find it. But you indicated that the website is going to be renovated and revitalized, I guess. So all these different more participatory, dialogical kind of forms of interaction will be available on the new website, I hope.
Yes, and in many ways the website is designed to kind of replicate what happened already here and has been happening. It's just sharing it, which is to have a welcoming environment which is open all the time and which is easier to find than the physical building, because wherever you have access to the internet, you will be able to then be a member of ACTV without even that's another of the opportunities that at the moment is rather limited. And the building, the organization, the website, all of it is changing together and growing organically, such that we hope very, very soon to be able to kind of present what ACTV really has been for some time, but we haven't, because we have the responsibility to help our members, had the opportunity to finally fully realize it and share it with everybody outside our membership.
Right. Yeah, as I know that ACTV is trying to revisit its mission statement and tries to become an information, communication and technology center. This is all part of those objectives, right?
Yes. Well, we want to, people when they come here to use the equipment for the classes that Chelsea teaches, it kind of already presupposes a relatively sophisticated knowledge for the computers, or that they have some conception of cameras and how it works. There's a lot more to this, and there seems to be that some of our members, there are a few steps in the middle there which they would themselves like to know more about, but it can be rather difficult if you don't know how to use an item. It used to be that programming the VCR or using the remote control. Well, now almost everything can be remote controlled, it seems, or soon will be. So if there isn't a place to learn how to do that, then it seems that there's another need that the community has, and that's something else that we're looking to help people with. So we're teaching a workshop for seniors on Skype in a couple of weeks, and we're going to start gradually, as we get everything together, offering more and more workshops for community needs and member requests.
So it's not only meant for students, because we after all have a couple of universities and education institutions around here, but students are also welcome, I guess.
Students, without students we wouldn't be able to do anything we're doing. If we didn't have the interns, we didn't have Chelsea helping us sort of organize everybody, then we would not be able to make a new website. We wouldn't be filming this now. The studio would be much more rudimentary. We need other people to help out in every aspect, and as Chelsea said, in turn we can offer them the chance to do so many more things than you would do at other access centres even, because we're both small enough and large enough that there are always a multitude of different tasks that can be done.
Yeah, and after all, although there is a lot of technology needed and involved in getting this organized, it's about human beings, people,
Yes.
communicating to people on hopefully interesting subjects, etc. Now, that's the theme of what we are teaching nowadays, communication and social change. In what way does ACTV play a role or contribute to social change in this context of Amherst and the region?
I think that there are various ways it does that. One of the first ones would be in broadcasting what is happening here. So people are more aware about the things that even in their neighborhood they might not necessarily understand or know about. It's also, we are also a community center, if you will. So it's a gathering point. This studio is used for meetings, and community groups and organizations can come here and be involved, because Amherst, while being a small town, is rather spread out geographically.
Right.
And so the university is a long way from here too. The different groups don't have any particular center geographically or physically, and so we offer that opportunity for everybody to coalesce here. And then when you can share this information and have a dialogue with the other people in your community, you become more aware of the things that don't happen. So it may be the conversation before the show or after the show that's as important to your sense of position in the community as what happens during it, that we would like to capture it and put it on air whenever possible.
Right, so it's a community center, as you rightly pointed out, and not only a media facility where things are being broadcasted or put online. And I fully agree that that's probably what the ultimate objective of ACTV and any kind of local media should be. We've already addressed the issue of volunteers and students getting involved. Any other more practical suggestions? If people would say, okay, I'm willing to try it out, how would they go about?
If people are interested in getting more information about interning, they can always feel free to send me an email. And my email address here is govaccess@actvamherst.com. And I'm always happy to answer questions about our intern program. And if anyone wants to stop by, get a tour of the facility, we're always happy to do that too. And then you can see what ACTV is and see if it's something that you'd like to be involved in.
Right, yeah, and you should try it out. But before we conclude here, any questions from our audience?
Do you only take interns in the summer, or do you also run them during like winter sessions, since we have like a 5-week break?
I'll wait for them to get back to the camera. We take interns year round. So we have some people who intern here for credit or for work study, and they would do that for a specific semester or over the breaks. But at any time we welcome interns. We don't have specific start-stop dates.
Any more questions?
And while we've talked about interning as being something for using the cameras and filming meetings, there's all kinds of other things, like recreating this room, making sets, doing community outreach, being involved in the technological side of things we have going on. We have a room full of servers where we've just bought all these new computers that need to be networked. If anybody wants to be getting hands-on experience doing any of these things, there are opportunities that exist, and there are more to suggest if you're interested.
Okay, this has been a rather informative and interesting kind of tour of the ACTV studio facilities and objectives. I hope that all of you have found it interesting and are willing to come back as volunteers or members of ACTV. Thanks Chelsea and Gray for the introduction, and thank you for your interest.